the majority of the coffee sold in the US, and I think the world, is actually from single serve pods. And the reason why I am telling you this is when we switched, I had a Nespresso machine, and we would use that as a convenience factor, and I would always, every morning, make Betsy a legit Nespresso from my Sylvia espresso machine, Sylvia espresso machine. But it was a hassle because I had to grind the coffee, and then I had to, it was production. And so eventually, I think during COVID, we just decided to try to use a different machine. And we had an Nespresso, the original one, and then we wanted to try the Vertuo machine, and that worked great. And props to my wife, Betsy. I'm usually the tech guy, and she researched it on her own to find out that you could, in fact, reuse Vertuo pods. You can't do it with the small ones, but the Vertuo pods were reusable. I had no idea because I had remembered the big hullabaloo, whatever, about Nespresso and the Vertuo pods and their IP, and how the pods have, if you can look at it, there's a barcode on the outer perimeter on the bottom side. And I figured, for sure, if they're locking down that IP, that there's no way you can refill them. Au contraire, mon frere. Betsy found out you can, in fact, reuse the pods. And after buying, $100 worth of pods, this is about the time she figured that out. And we started doing it with foils, stickers, which basically replace the sticker or the foil that's on top of a factory genuine Nespresso Vertuo pod. And then we switched to silicone caps, which is what I'm going to show you how to use, because it's less wasteful and a hell of a lot easier. And I'll go over a couple of tips that I found along the way of doing this. And again, after watching that video, and I showed it to Betsy because it made us appreciate what we've been doing, is how we've basically taken our coffee fix and dramatically reduced its carbon footprint. But most importantly, as environmentally sound as I want to sound, we're doing it for a cost savings, because it makes this, using the coffee pods, so much cheaper. Like, I'll have to calculate like how much cheaper it is. Staggeringly cheap. Well, given how much this cost, it's $1 a pod minimum, and that's if you buy it in bulk. I'm guessing our cups of coffee cost 10 cents maybe once you do this, and you amortize the cost of the silicone lids. So anyway, let me show you what we do when I put on my meta glasses and do a POV shot of this. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is what a pod looks like after you've removed the foil. Only because I don't have any more pods that we've used, because we've been using the same pods over and over again. As you can see how that it's just battle scarred. Turns out you can keep on using these things, and if they do get dented, just take your thumb and kind of massage the dents out. That's it. If you have a foil on here, it's going to have all the holes in it. And what I did is, this isn't the tool I used. I used a Husky utility knife, replaceable utility knife blade, but the process is still the same, because I'm going to assume no one else is going to have that knife. But you take a knife or something sharp and insert the blade into the foil next to the aluminum cup, and basically just kind of skim all the way around until you break the foil and the plastic lining that keeps it from reacting with the coffee, until you get all the way around, and then plop out that piece of foil, throw it away because you're never going to use it again, and go on Amazon and find these silicone reusable lids. I swore when I saw this, having used the foil method, the refoiling method, which is a total pain, that there's no way that the silicone is going to work. And to the point where for the foil, not only was it a pain, you had to have this jig where you set your cup down in here and have to perfectly center the foil. Good thing I'm OCD because it wasn't that big of a deal for me. And use this to press the foil down to seat it against the edge here. And then you'd have to pull it out and then tuck the edge of the foil all the way around, not obscuring the barcode, which is part of that IP issue and how they protect you from using fake ones. This bypasses that problem completely. There's no jig necessary. Betsy, I don't know why she still uses this. She has a couple of plastic pods she uses, and I'm not sure what they're for, but she still likes using this, so there we have it. But that said, the silicone lids, and you can see the perforations with the white background, bypasses all those problems. You just basically fill the pod, push this down, all without a jig in your hand, tap off any loose stuff, and you're ready to go. Then there's no tucking or anything, and it takes just a few seconds. And this is how I fill this pod up. And I'm going to use my medium roast coffee that I've already ground. And what I do is, and I used to be really anal about filling this with the foil when I used the foil method and tamping it down and making it perfect. No, you don't have to do that. Turns out all you gotta do is be as sloppy, not as sloppy as possible, but you don't have to be that careful. I just basically take 1/8 of a cup, as it turns out, kind of get it to the point where it's full, even though it's not going to be flattened, and just basically kind of just shake it until, I kind of just fill in and just basically tap it like this. And if I'm missing a little bit more, like right there, I'll just take a little bit, because it turns out this doesn't need to be precise, and it doesn't need to be tamped down, because in the pods they're not. They've been jostling around in transit from God knows where till it gets to your house. And this is probably, this seems like it's taking a lot longer. Normally I could do this in seconds in the morning. And you gotta get it kind of like that, and you kind of just tap it a little bit so it's even, like you can see there. Is it perfect? No, because it doesn't have to be. And you take the lid, and the lip has a little bit of a barb to it, and that creates your seal. 2 barbs, as a matter of fact. I'm just gonna push it down, and there'll be some crowning in the hole there, not a big deal. Anything that gets stuck here, again, not a big deal. We even had this brush when you do to get all this extra stuff off here, to get the foil to seal. You don't need that here because there's no seal. But that said, if there's anything left over, you just take it here and just tap it, and everything is good. And it sounds just like a normal pod. You never know the difference. Okay, so I showed you how I refill the pods, but let me show you how we clean the pods. This is one that's actually the top of the bin. It's kind of beat up, but it still works. But that's what it basically looks like after you take the lid off, and it just pops right out. One note is just periodically make sure that the holes are open. I've actually never had to deal with, other than just rinsing this off, never had to go through and punch the holes. But that said, the puck is just like this, and we have a knockbox from my espresso machine, and you just basically, and voila. I got a 3D printer, by the way, a Bamboo Mini A1 Mini, and I printed this Vertuo pod holder. We use it to not necessarily hold the pods, but to dry them, because what we were doing was rinsing this out and just basically putting on top of a dishcloth, but it doesn't dry effectively. But basically just lay these here and kind of set these on top as such and let them dry. It's kind of handy. Thanks for watching.